Home Office Minister Chris Philp has been criticised after appearing on Question Time yesterday evening and asking an audience member whether Rwanda, where the UK plans to send some asylum seekers, is a separate country to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Let's put all of this into context, shall we? Let's talk to our political correspondent, Nick Eardley. Nick, morning to you. OK, so I think you do need to set the scene and lead up to Chris Philp's confusion and, of course, the reaction.
OK, let me try, Naga. Morning to you. So the Rwanda bill passed Parliament this week. The government hopes that it will allow it to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda pretty soon. It's obviously really controversial, and obviously it came up on Question Time last night, a big debate about the merits of the policy. But one audience member in particular raised his circumstance. He's from Congo. He said there's been a lot of conflict between Congo and Rwanda over the last few years. And he asked what would happen if his family got on a small boat, arrived in the UK. Would they be sent to Rwanda despite that historical context? Well, the policing minister, Chris Philp, attempted to answer the question. It all got a bit awkward.
Had my family members come from Goma on a crossing right now, would they then be sent back to the country that they're supposedly warring, Rwanda? Does that make any sense to you?
No, I think there's an exclusion on people from Rwanda being sent to Rwanda.
They're not from Rwanda, they're from Congo.
They're from Congo.
And they're supposedly warring these people from Rwanda. Are they then going to be sent to Rwanda if they came here on a crossing?
From
Congo? Yeah.
Would people be sent from... Well, I mean, Rwanda is a different country of Congo, isn't it? It's a different country.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Definitely. You're saying if they come from a war zone in Congo, would they then be sent to Rwanda?
You saw towards the end there Labour's Wes Streeting rolling his eyes. He tweeted after the programme a map of Africa, as if to make the very obvious point that Congo and Rwanda are different countries. Now, I should point out, Naga, that Chris Philp said later in that answer that there is a clause for people who might suffer serious and irreversible harm not to be sent to Rwanda. An ally of Mr Philp has also said that in that clip you just heard, he was asking a rhetorical question to make it clear what the question was. But the government's actually had a pretty good week when it comes to trying to push its Rwanda policy through. And this will not be the sort of thing they want people talking about.
I think I get that. Nick, thanks very much. Nick Eardley, our political correspondent.
Of all our locations up until July, I think, are being listed on that website. So have a look and see if any of them are near where you live. And we'd love to see you. Right, our next question is from Priya Naga Martin.
Hi, if the threat of death is not a deterrent, why will Rwanda be?
So, of course, the Safety of Rwanda bill was passed on Monday night. It took 2 years, but it got through on Monday night. Wes?
Suffering, torture, misery, and are in a desperate situation that none of us would ever wish to be. And having seen some of those people in my constituency advice surgery, desperate to participate, desperate to be part of this country, desperate to build a new life, and they are demonised in the way that we've seen with ugly rhetoric from people like Suella Braverman, who is still a Conservative MP, even though she associates with the far right across Europe, I think is an absolute disgrace, and it's a shame on our politics.
Chris.
Look, I think it's essential that we stop these boat crossings. There's a number of reasons. Firstly, and very quickly, the number of Albanian people crossing the Channel went down by 95%. So those two examples, Australia and the recent Albanian example here.
I'm sure nobody here and nobody at home wants to see people die in the Channel. I mean, that is a given. I just wonder how much public support do you think there is for the Rwanda policy?
This policy is about trying to do the right thing to make sure that people are not undertaking these dangerous... We've seen they're dangerous. People have died this week. We have to stop these crossings completely, and we have to concentrate our resources. Rwanda is, in our view, a safe country. I mean, the UNHCR themselves... the UN High Commission on Refugees themselves... There was a particular reason they said that they were unhappy with Rwanda. And it was to do with the risk that Rwanda, not that Rwanda was in itself unsafe, the court had a concern about Rwanda sending people elsewhere, some other country that might not be safe, and directly addresses the concern raised by the Supreme Court.
There's probably going to be quite a few questions for you, Chris. I'm just going to go around quite a few people in the audience. Yes, man here in the white T-shirt, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a huge amount wrong with this policy and the whole idea of it around this. I think we need to bring humanity back into this discussion. And when I speak to friends that live overseas and meet people from overseas, I'm actually embarrassed.
Zip top on, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name, Chris?
This is Chris, yes.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris Philp.
I come from a neighbouring country called Congo, if you know geographically, that it's located right next door to Rwanda. And right now in Goma, there's a genocide going on, and there's such a big conflict going on with people from Rwanda. So had my family members come from Goma on a crossing right now, would they then be sent back to the country that they're supposedly warring, Rwanda? Does that make any sense to you?
No, I think there's an exclusion on people from Rwanda being sent to Rwanda.
They're not from Rwanda, they're from Congo.
They're from Congo.
And they're supposedly
Okay.
warring these people from Rwanda. Are they then going to be sent to Rwanda if they came here on a crossing?
From
Congo? Yeah.
Would people be sent from... Well, I mean, Rwanda is a different country of Congo, isn't it? It's a different country.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Definitely.
He's saying if they come from a war zone in Congo, would they then be sent to Rwanda? That's
Well,
the point he's making.
so there is a clause in the legislation that says if somebody would suffer, I think the phrase is serious and irreversible harm by being sent somewhere, they wouldn't be sent. So there is that safety mechanism built into the legislation.
Charles.
Just the questioner there raised the point about the safety of Rwanda. I have been to Rwanda. I was involved in a charity there which did a lot of good work.
I'm a mother to 2 children under the age of 10, and I can't even begin to imagine having to make that decision. Clearly, it's not going to be a deterrent. And
skirmishes on the borders with other countries, which means it's not safe. Right? It's just not safe, and we shouldn't be doing them. And by the way, the conditions that Australia sends those people to on an island off the coast are appalling. They're actually appalling. So let's just be clear about that. And it was High Court judges that said that Rwanda was unsafe, not some think tank or a couple of people behind it. It was the High Court. They said it was unsafe, and then in order to respond to that, the government said, we think it's safe. It's a bit like the government saying, we're going to legislate against gravity because it's inconvenient. To which my response is, take you to the top of Victoria Tower, you jump first. So I just think it's nonsense. Then there's the cost. I do feel offended on behalf of my parents who have never taken a penny. God rest his soul, my dad. Full stop, it's just cruel. It's unworkable, it's unsafe, and it will not deter people because they know there's very little chance of them getting on a plane. What I think members of the government say, I've been to Rwanda and it's perfectly safe. Off the plane in Rwanda, I'm sure it'd be perfectly safe. You know, decent hotel, you know, gin and tonic at 5 o'clock. Because my gay friends couldn't come and visit me. Because, as that chap, there's still skirmishes on the borders with other countries, which means it's not safe. Right? It's just not safe. People have come from a different place. You started it.
No,
I would rather that you actually talked about hope. You gave people examples of which there are millions of the benefits of migration. Right. The actual fact...
Every country in the world needs to be concerned about the level of immigration. It doesn't...
People illegally entering the country, paying people smugglers. We can agree who we need to come here to
go after the people.
And we've been very generous with Ukraine, 200,000 people. Hong Kong. Afghanistan, 25,000 people.
All right, okay.
Syria, 25,000 people. It should be based on need, not based on mostly young men paying people smugglers, leaving a manifestly safe country, France.
OK, listen, I know loads of you...
Hang on, we're an island. You can't get here without crossing the channel.
You don't need to come to France, it's safe.
Listen, hang on a minute. OK, whoa. Hang on a minute. We've got 10 minutes left. We've only done 2 questions. So if you'll forgive me, I'm going to move on to another question. Not